It's a surreal time in the history of this Parliament. If we were to close our eyes for a moment and think back 8 months, there was a clamour in this House to enable the drug importers and drug retailers of these mind-altering chemicals an opportunity to go out and exploit the vulnerable, the poor, the lonely and the dispossessed, and sell them these dangerous mind-altering chemicals for a profit, and watch them slowly and progressively in front of their families and in their communities go mad. Go mad. And it was the TV3 John Campbell program by instalment that showed every member of this Parliament the madness of the decision that was taken 8 months ago by 120 members of this House to give this social experiment a whirl. And it's been a failure. And the process we're going through this afternoon is a time-honoured process of dead rat swallowing. We got it wrong. I voted against it, but we got it wrong. I said tie-ho, but we got it wrong. I said this was a crazy thing to do, but we got it wrong. This Parliament got it wrong. It got it wrong. It got it badly wrong. And we saw night after night on TV3 at 7 o'clock the madness of what this Parliament did. The greed-driven drug importers and retailers were making a fortune, and so many of our young and vulnerable people were behaving like Fruit Loops. Like Fruit Loops. So I again today in this Parliament say, we've got to get it right. We owe it to these young people who are lonely, depressed, out of work, out of hope, and looking for an opportunity to refreshen their lives and give themselves some sense of worth, but taking drugs like mind-altering substances won't do it, and I'm stating that on the record in Parliament today. It's a bad idea taking these substances. It's a bad idea drinking far too much alcohol. It's a bad idea smoking cigarettes. It's very expensive. And in my long life, I've never met anyone that's had an addiction to drugs, that's had an addiction to alcohol, that's had an addiction to tobacco, that's had an addiction to any mind-altering substance. I've not met one in my long life that says, it's made a difference. I feel good about it. And it's changed my life for the good. Not one person has ever said that to me. And so we should proceed with this bill today. And I suppose on a lighter note I could thank Moonbeam, the cat, the Prime Minister's cat. When that beautiful animal runs round his home in Parnell, in the centre of my electorate, when he comes home from work each week, he looks at that cat and he says, I couldn't possibly allow that animal to be tortured to death in the name and at the altar of a mind-altering drug experiment. And coming back, he said it can't happen to beagle puppies and won't. It can't happen and shouldn't happen to rabbits, and it now won't. And New Zealand is now saying no to animal testing for these mind-altering fun drugs. Exactly what I begged this Parliament to do 8 months ago. And to be fair, some of my colleagues. But the numbers didn't fall our way, and the Mad Hatter's Tea Party began. And this Parliament should apologise to the young and the vulnerable, the sick and the poor, and those people looking for a high in life when there's so much low. We should be apologising them today for giving them and selling them a fraud. Because taking drugs to make you feel better is a fraud. And we in this Parliament should be role models and saying no to these drugs, these mind-altering drugs. And if they have to be tested to make sure they're safe, and if they are necessary, and they're not, then we should never, ever sacrifice any animal. at the altar of an experiment to try and prove that these substances are safe. The bottom line is, and everyone knows in this house, these substances will never be safe. These substances will never be safe. The original bill was well-intentioned. I'll give that much credit to this House, in that it sought to ensure that psychoactive substances are safe. But it was deeply flawed. Deeply flawed. And all the assumptions were deeply flawed. And every single member of Parliament that voted for this should stand up this afternoon and say, I got it wrong. I'm prepared as a member of this House to say, I voted against it, but we got it wrong. And so we can put it right. And so the Prime Minister took the leadership on the weekend and said, we're going to put it right. And full marks to the Prime Minister. 8 months overdue, but full marks to the Prime Minister. And so, what have we got here? Animals cannot be tested in this country to prove that these things are safe. You'll never prove these things are safe as long as the cows start walking home, because they'll never be safe. And we should say from this Parliament today, these are dangerous substances and they'll never be safe, no matter what experiment you use, in what jurisdiction it comes from. They'll never be safe. Evidence of harm. There's plenty of evidence of harm. We don't need to sacrifice beagle puppies on a gurney with their ears stapled to the ground and the gas being pumped into them until they get to the LD50, half of them expire, to know that these are dangerous. We all know they're dangerous. The Deputy Speaker knows they're dangerous. Every Member of Parliament knows they're dangerous. Our fine Minister of Health knows they're dangerous. And we're taking them off the shelf. And I know there will be people out there, but it's our right to smoke this, to suck that, to inhale this, and to drink something else. But it's our responsibility to say to the people, it's bad for your health. Be very, very careful. Be very, very careful. This bill, Mr. Speaker, is a vast improvement on the animal welfare front than the original flawed bill. We haven't actually taken the opportunity to slam shut the door on animal testing, because animal testing done offshore that is detrimental to the safety of one of these substances can be used to turn that substance down. I asked the Minister and I asked the government if they'd say, let's do that and go back from today, but not for the future. So as of midnight tonight, these drugs that have been tested on hapless beagle puppies and proved to be unsafe is a reason for us turning it down. But we should have said in this bill, no evidence from any animal testing from any part of the world will ever form part of a decision to give the tick for one of these dangerous substances. That's what I wanted. And maybe in 10 years' time, when I'm back again, Mr. Speaker, we can visit this bill and do it again. So what I want to do is I want to finish as I began. I'm going to accept my part of the responsibility of the Mad Hatter's Tea Party that we have inflicted across the country on so many of the participants. It's been a bad experiment, and this Parliament got it badly wrong. But today we're fixing the wrong, because we can all make errors of judgment and mistakes. And New Zealand says to the rest of the world today, first and foremost, we don't believe that there should be any animal testing on any product under any circumstances unless it's for pharmaceutical life-saving reasons. Because we believe in the sanctity and the respect and the dignity of all animals, how big, how small, that we share this world with. And that is the message from this Parliament. We're not going to sacrifice animals at the altar of mind-altering drugs. And we're saying no to drugs today. And we're telling young people, taking drugs is a very, very risky business. And this Parliament's responsibility is to try and help you, educate you on that front.
I call Barbara Stewart.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I stand on behalf of New Zealand First to take a call on the Psychoactive Substances Amendment Bill. We all know in this House that psychoactive substances are a